it's Erin from Catawba Science Center. October is Cheers to Mr. Beerbower month. We are celebrating his 70th birthday and his 40th work anniversary at Catawba Science Center. To learn a little bit about beer, we have Bobby Bush from Hops and Grapes. He's going to do some beer tastings. You can learn along as well. Don't forget, you can support Bruce and the Science Center by purchasing a Science After Dark cup. Thanks.
Thank you, Erin. I'm going to dispose of this mask, so hopefully I'll be legible and certainly more handsome. The more you drink, the smarter I sound, the better I look. But anyway, we're here to celebrate Oktoberfest and Bruce's birthday. He turns 70 on the 3rd of October. And I'll have a birthday later this month. I'm a Scorpio. You're still a Libra. There's a big difference, I'm told, but I don't follow that astrology stuff. But anyway, we're going to celebrate Oktoberfest with what else? 2 Oktoberfest beers. As it turns out, and this is the neat thing I like to do with beer tastings, is I've never tasted either one of these. So I'm coming into these. Some of the other beers we may do later that may not be true, but I'm coming into these with a virgin mind. So this is, the very first one is domestic, made in Boone, North Carolina. Some of you might know where that is. It is from Boonshine Brewing Company. It's called Overlook Oktoberfest. Just a little history on the brewery. It opened in July 2015, kind of in that mall area when you go up on 321 on the left. They have relocated, but they're still doing very well. We're trying to sell as much of their beer as we can at my store, Hops and Grapes in Hickory. But this beer is a lager, as an Oktoberfest should be. Some people try to pass off an ale, and we'll get into the ale lager divergence later. It comes in a 16-ounce can, 5.1% alcohol by volume, which is pretty appropriate for the style. I'm going to pour mine, and this has gotten kind of shook up in the car, so it's going to be foamy. We'll let it settle, and I'll let Bruce pour his, and then we're going to both sanitize. Cheers. Let's give this style a try. Oktoberfest beers are also known as Märzen beers, spelled M-A-R-Z-E-N. That's the type of malt that is used to make the beer. They're lagers, not like your Bud Miller Coors lagers, so a lot more integrity, a lot more flavor, a lot more body. What you look for is kind of a dark gold to a copper color. And even in Germany, the style has changed a lot through the years, primarily to appease American tastes. Back to the Bud Miller Coors version I made, but this should be a little on the sweet side, but not overly sweet. You should be able to taste some of the lager yeast. I still haven't tasted it yet. I'm telling you what you should taste, Bruce.
Okay.
I'm getting like a little burnt malt, not burnt, not smoky, but definitely interesting. Its mouthfeel is light, like a lager should be at that alcohol level. What do you think?
Very good. And actually, this is the second one that I have tasted of these, because they gave me one last week.
There you go. I didn't know that. I would have brought something else if I did.
That's fine. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I could drink some of this. Back in the old days, when craft beer brewing was fairly new, there were some breweries trying to pass off ales as an Oktoberfest, and you know, we didn't know a lot. We knew a lot less back then. Let's put it that way. And because when you talk about Christmas beers, what's the definition of a Christmas beer? Anything served at Christmas. And so that's a wide open field. But I think American craft brewers have become a lot more knowledgeable about the tradition and the styles. But as I said, even in Germany, they've kind of changed their styles to fit what they see as a beer that will sell better. Who knows?
Makes sense.
Yeah. As I said, this beer was brewed in Boone. In Germany, the only breweries that can call their beers Oktoberfest, spelled with a K, are in Munich. There are a lot of other breweries in Germany. I still think even with all the consolidation, there's close to 200 breweries in Germany. But they can't call their beers Oktoberfest. So this particular, the one we're going to taste next is new to this area. I don't know if it's new to America, but a local distributor brought it in. It's called, well, the name of the brewery is Benedictiner. I'm going to guess that's pronounced right. Do you speak German?
Benedictiner, probably.
Benedictiner. And they call it a fest beer rather than an Oktoberfest. And we have several others in the stores that are October is a separate word, Fest, Märzen. They have to avoid the one word Oktoberfest. This next one, and I like when we're doing beers like this of the same style, I like to double fist it and drink some side by side. So let's try this one. This is from Leek, L-I-C-H, Leek, Germany, which is north of Frankfurt, which is not even close to Munich, which is in South Germany. This is more in central Germany. And it does meet as a lot of German beers. It's not really a regulation anymore, but it's a tradition. It meets the 1516 Bavarian Reinheitsgebot law, which basically was a law about, they call it a purity law, but it was actually a tariff on foreign beers that were competing with the local beers back then. It required at the time in 1516 that beers only be made from malted barley, water, and yeast. There's one missing ingredient from that. Yeast. Well, I'm sorry, hops. There's one missing ingredient still. It was yeast. Because yeast had not been wasn't discovered by Louis Pasteur until the 1700s.
Okay.
So they added that later. But the Reinheitsgebot still exists. A lot of traditional German brewers follow it, and they only use those 5 ingredients. So you're not gonna find a Reinheitsgebot compliant beer with fruit. Or they did bend a little bit to let them use wheat for the heavy Weizens that are common in Germany. But,
very good. Slightly more German taste, as they should have.
The yeast, the lager yeast flavor comes out a lot more. It's not as sweet. It's actually, let's see, it is, well, I found right in the percentage now. Would you look on the can and see if you can find it? The percentage, alcohol is usually presented in terms of ABV, alcohol by volume. In North Carolina, if it's 6% or over by law, it has to be stated on the bottle or can. I don't know why I failed. Maybe I couldn't find it either.
Since this is from Germany, it's not on the can.
So it must be less than 6% is the assumption to be made, which is appropriate for the style. Now the other thing, Bruce, if you can look under that bottle without spilling it on yourself, there's a Best By date on the can. It's 2021, May 6th or June 5th. They do their dates sometimes differently. But anyway, it's 2021. So they're giving that beer an entire year of shelf life, which tells me that there's the only way they can do that is pasteurize. Okay. Which is not necessarily bad. I think most of Bud Miller and Coors products are pasteurized. It strengthens, it elongates their shelf life. Well, let's compare apples and apples. The vessel you use to look at your beer has a lot to do. If I had compared my little goblet here to a 9-ounce clear plastic cup, it would have appear a lot different beer. This is a German beer, and I said usually the color can range from a dark gold to a copper color. I don't know, of these two, if you had your choice, if somebody said, Bruce, I'm going to give you a case of one of these beers, where would you go?
I'd opt for half a case of each.